Hi everyone, welcome to the last video of Sewology by Milan, and today we're going to be making an accessory scrunchie, so let's get started. You're going to need a 4.5 by 21 inch piece of fabric. Here I'm just cutting off all the little extra pieces. I don't know why this happens, but I'm just cutting it off right now. Also going to need some elastics, clips, and possibly a marker. Markers can be helpful because clips get in the way. I started with clips and I ended up just drawing on the fabric to finish out my project. Whether it's a marker or a clip, you just want to indicate 2 inches away from each end of your fabric. I'm doing it on one side, then I'm going to flip around and do the same exact thing on the other side. At the end, make sure your clips or your markings line up. I'm just doing it by checking, folding the pieces together, and then we can start sewing. I recently added a seam guide into my sewing machine, so I'm going to be sewing with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. This seam guide has been so helpful. It's making my lines straight and keeping my fabric in one place so I don't have squiggly or inconsistent stitches. And once you cut it, it's time to flip the fabric from inside out into right side out. So you want to see that darker pigmented fabric side. You're going to do this until it's all the way flipped out. Now you're going to take your 2 sides that are open, you're going to match them up and sew them. You're not sewing it all flat. You're going to try to do a little bit at a time so that you don't make it flat, because that won't allow the scrunchie to be pliable and scrunchy like. Also, make sure you're back stitching. Scrunchies endure a lot of wear and tear, so without back stitching, it can fall apart. Now I'm going to cut a piece of elastic. I actually did not measure this. I kind of eyeballed it. So I just cut this elastic and then cut it in half again because I didn't want it to be too thick. But this is the part that is really important. You're going to attach a safety pin to one side of the elastic and feed it in through that open hole. One side should have the safety pin and one side should have that other blank or blunt piece of the elastic. So one side should be safety pin, one side should be the regular elastic. You're going to pull it through both sides together. It's hard to see, but once I have both sides of the elastic coming off that opening, I safety pinned it together, so now I don't have to hold it and it's stuck in place. I quickly realized the piece of elastic that I eyeballed was actually too long, so I ended up cutting it and then safety pinning it back in place. Then I stitched the 2 pieces of elastic together, but be careful with this because I actually ended up breaking my needle. I had to stop recording and fix my needle and re-thread my machine because I think I did one too many back stitches and it literally snapped off. I was so shaken up from that I forgot to record when I actually stitched the 2 halves together, but here's me sewing it some more. That really took me by surprise, that needle snapping off like that. But I'm just doing a straight stitch to try to combine them 2 sides together so the hole that we made closes. Now I'm just fluffing out the scrunchie and giving it that scrunchy look, making sure I move all the fabric around the elastic, and there's my scrunchie. Look at it, it's so cute. But as I previously stated, this is my last ever video for my capstone of Sewology by Milan. My YouTube channel, my website, and my video tutorials turned out beautifully and exactly the way I envisioned them to. I'm very grateful for all of you guys tapping in and giving me support and feedback. I hope my tutorials were easy to follow along and you learned something about sewing and may even take it up as a hobby. But all good things must come to an end. So with that being said, this is Milan Little, class of 2026, signing out. This is my capstone, Sewology by Milan, and this is my last video. Thank you guys so much. Have a good day.